Shedeur Sanders seems to want to play the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are just a few days removed from their underdog win over the Baltimore Ravens during Monday Night Football on September 22nd, but they already have another big matchup on the way. The team is up against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, September 28th, and everyone in the NFL knows that the Browns' defense is no joke. So, Lions head coach Dan Campbell is making sure his team is as ready as possible for the defensive challenge ahead. But the Browns also have one of the most talked-about quarterbacks of 2025 on their roster in rookie Shedeur Sanders. Sanders, of course, was drafted surprisingly late in the NFL draft this year, as number 144 overall, and it was really the story of the draft. But he was a solid addition to the Cleveland Browns, and he sounds like he's ready and wanting to play the Detroit Lions. Shedeur Sanders is ready for whenever his name is called. Ahead of Sunday's game, Sanders spoke with the press about the Browns' quarterback situation. He's been the Cleveland Browns' number 3 quarterback, sitting behind starter Joe Flacco and fellow rookie Dillon Gabriel. So, Sanders has been inactive for the first 3 weeks of the regular season, just being the emergency quarterback. Ahead of the Lions game, Sanders asserted that he's ready to play right now. So, if, somehow, he gets the chance to take the field against the Lions, or any other NFL team this season, he says he's primed to do so. I don't think playing or not playing is in my head. Based on the situation, if things happen and it turns out that I play, then I'll be out there and I'll be ready to play, Sanders said, according to ESPN Cleveland. I'm ready to play right now. He also talked about the quarterbacks in the NFL and said that he believes he can do better, noting, I know if you see the quarterback play in the league right now, I'm capable of playing better than that. His dad, Deion Sanders, agrees. The elder Sanders went on Jason and Travis Kelce's New Heights podcast and said that he thinks his son will have a chance to show his stuff with the Browns sometime this season. Be patient and be ready, Deion Sanders said, regarding the advice he gave his son. You got to be ready when it's time. But when it's time, you're going to know. And it's coming up. I got a prediction. I ain't telling nobody. I got a feeling when it's going to go down. But it's going to go down this year. He added that he is going to get a shot. Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell on the win over Baltimore. After the Lions' Monday night win over Baltimore, Lions head coach Dan Campbell talked about how great his team played under the Monday night pressure. He gave props to defensive end Aiden Hutchinson for the late forced fumble. Our hardest workers are our best players. It's not lip service, it's not fake. Our best players are our hardest workers, he told reporters. Go out and watch them practice. It's like that every day. So, that's the standard. That's the standard. Now, the Detroit Lions defense will really be tested against the Browns. Get your popcorn ready for Sunday. The NFL is a league built on rivalries, storylines, and the sheer willpower of players determined to write their own destinies. Among the many young quarterbacks waiting for their moment under the bright Sunday lights, Shedeur Sanders has become a name that refuses to fade into the background. From his college dominance at Colorado to his bold statements about being capable of doing better than some starting quarterbacks, Sanders has carved out a reputation for confidence. Now, whispers around the league suggest something intriguing. Shedeur Sanders seems to want a shot at the Detroit Lions. At first glance, that's an odd target. Why the Lions? They've shed their decades-long label of perennial underachievers, turned themselves into a legitimate NFC powerhouse, and possess one of the league's most passionate fan bases. Head coach Dan Campbell has reshaped Detroit into a gritty, fearless squad that refuses to be intimidated. Jared Goff has steadied the ship at quarterback, supported by an offense that blends toughness with creativity. Yet for Shedeur, the idea of lining up against Detroit isn't about picking an easy target. It's about chasing greatness where the spotlight burns brightest. A competitor's mentality. Shedeur has been wired for competition since birth. As the son of Deion "Prime-Time" Sanders, the young quarterback grew up in a household where excellence wasn't optional, it was the standard. At Colorado, he showcased poise under pressure, often standing tall despite porous offensive line play and relentless defensive attacks. For Sanders, adversity became fuel, and proving doubters wrong became part of his DNA. So when people speculate that he wants a chance at the Lions, it's less about singling them out and more about embracing the challenge. Detroit isn't just any team, they're a measuring stick. Their defense, anchored by emerging stars and a fierce pass rush, represents exactly the kind of test a young quarterback craves. For Shedeur, the thought of stepping into Ford Field or hosting Detroit in a primetime game is an opportunity to prove he can thrive against one of the NFL's toughest squads. Detroit's aura. The Lions' recent rise makes them a fascinating opponent for any young quarterback. Once mocked as a franchise that could never find its footing, Detroit is now respected and feared. They are no longer the underdogs, they are the hunters. Playing them is a way of saying, I belong in this league, and I'm ready for the best you've got. For Shedeur, there's another layer. Detroit embodies blue-collar toughness. They fight for every yard, thrive on physicality, and carry themselves with a chip on their shoulder. In many ways, that mirrors Shedeur's own journey. He's not coming into the NFL as a silver-spooned legacy kid riding his father's coattails. He's a quarterback who endured countless hits in college, battled skepticism about his NFL readiness, and continues to demand respect with his play and words. Facing Detroit would be like staring into a mirror, toughness meeting toughness, grit testing grit. The narrative power. The NFL thrives on narratives, and the Shedeur Sanders versus Detroit Lions storyline practically writes itself. Imagine the headlines: Primetime's prodigy faces Dan Campbell's Lions. The league would salivate at the TV ratings. Shedeur, with his charisma and growing fanbase, would bring national attention to any matchup. Against the Lions, a team that's become must-watch TV, the storyline transforms from a game into a spectacle. Think of the drama: Campbell's no-nonsense style against Deion Sanders' larger-than-life presence supporting his son. Detroit's smash-mouth identity against Shedeur's smooth, confident flair. The old narrative of a rebuilding team against a new quarterback trying to build his career. It's football theater at its finest. Lessons in greatness. But there's also a deeper reason why Shedeur might want to play the Lions. To become great, you have to beat the great. The Lions are establishing themselves as gatekeepers in the NFC. Teams that can't get past them often find their seasons cut short. If Shedeur truly wants to prove he belongs, there's no better crucible. Every sack, every interception, every touchdown would carry weight. It wouldn't just be a game, it would be a statement. Great quarterbacks aren't made by carving up weak defenses. They're made by stepping into hostile environments and delivering when everything seems stacked against them.